Well, welcome to the F5 Recovery Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We want to thank our sponsors, F5 Project, as well as the Ridge Recovery and Treatment Center, for allowing us to be able to do this. We have a very special episode. We're going to be talking about family matters, and we have a very special guest who some of you might be familiar with, some of you may not, but he's near and dear to my heart and hopefully his father's, Nick Moore. So,
Daddy.
Yeah, so we're super excited. And welcome, Nick. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Ricky.
Yeah.
Am I near and dear to your heart like I am Ricky's?
Sure.
We'll work on that answer. I don't know how I felt about that one.
Well, welcome to this is weird, right?
Yeah, it's really bright.
Well, I meant like just in general, because like, who would have thunk, even 10 years ago, let alone, 20 years ago, that we'd be on a podcast.
20 years ago, especially, because I don't think
You
they
probably
were doing
don't remember
podcasts at
anything
all.
20 years ago. How old are you? 24?
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm really glad I didn't have to answer that for everybody. No, that is crazy. It's crazy. 4 years old, if I was on a podcast, I think we'd have a lot of money now. Because podcasts were really a thing 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
They'd be
And
like,
just some
what is this
4-year-old
thing?
It was still dial-up.
I know the future of the internet. You're like, what's the internet? Now we're here on the internet.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you invited him. This should be fun.
Yeah.
So.
I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Apparently, I just found out last night that we were going to talk about like stuff. Because he came over to my house last night and he's like, yeah, apparently Ricky's going to ask me these, deep personal questions about our family. And I was like, what the shit?
Can't wait to spill the beans. The Martin lore, as you say.
Well, because I don't want you thinking too hard on it, but I want Nick to think too hard on it. So
I
you can
might
share
start crying.
Yeah, that's not, again,
That's
that's
okay.
That's
That's a
that
good
raw
thing.
emotion we really have on this podcast. Yeah.
No, I won't cry.
Well, let's do this.
Yeah. So to kick us off, Nick, tell us a little more about yourself and
Yeah,
that.
Adam Martin's son, firstborn. If you're on his Facebook, that's how he refers to me.
Spawn.
First spawn. That's off to a terrible start. Jeez, I'm so nervous. I'm sober now. I've been sober for coming up on 2 years, actually, in January.
Nice. Good for you.
Yeah.
It's weird to get used to that. I feel like I'm always telling stories of like, oh man, I remember when I was sleeping in my 2001 Dodge Ram, and my girlfriend would be like, dude, that was like 4 years ago. And I'm like, I spent a long time there. It's hard to forget.
Yeah.
And so getting used to that and not always being like, oh man, I remember. So that's been cool because I'm starting to make memories as a sober person. So now I can be like, remember this? And I wasn't drunk. So that's really fun. Make music a little bit.
Okay.
Not as much now. I decided to go to college. So that takes up most
What are you in
of my time.
school for?
Marketing.
Nice.
I thought it was the easiest degree I could get to stay in sales and just the ego of having a college degree.
Yeah.
That's really it.
As he said in front of marketing people. They're like, yeah.
I'm not saying the degree's easy. I'm saying
okay.
it's more so I would find it the easiest because it's what I like to do.
Watch the power of marketing when they edit you entirely out of this podcast.
Yeah, what's that weird blank spot on the I see the mic moving. I hear breath, but nothing's going
Witness
on.
protection podcast.
They got me in like a shadow, a really deep voice. I was going to be a marketer. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So you're going to college, and what else? What's going on? You got a girlfriend?
Whoa. We were going to talk about my family, not my social life.
family.
Yeah, I have a girlfriend. We've been dating over a year. I do know the date before anybody gets excited. I know the anniversary.
She's amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
She is like a great addition to the family.
Yeah, if you guys know Scott College, he says I've outkicked my coverage with this one.
Okay.
Oh, good. That's a keeper then.
Yeah, no, for sure. I
such
don't disagree at all. She's great. And it is weird because love was just not something I really ever ventured into, especially when I was in active addiction. And to kind of just really learn how to love myself and someone else in an unconditional way, that's probably been the coolest part about sobriety, I'm not going to lie.
So how'd you bump into this hostage?
Game, you know me.
Game.
We met in 5th grade in Minot, North Dakota.
That's when game is strong.
Yeah, and I never said a word to her, but I dated all of her friends. if you can call it dating.
Right.
I know. Move on.
I didn't know that you guys knew each other in 5th grade.
Yeah, it's like the whole foundation of our love story, you know?
Okay.
And then she had a boyfriend, you know, many years later. I would have been 20. I was like freshly sober, so 21. And she told me she had a boyfriend, and my immediate response was, that's fine, I got time, I can wait. And she didn't believe me. Another year goes by, she quit posting her boyfriend a bunch, so I slid up and I said, hey.
Yeah.
And we went from there. She's like, we're gonna just be friends. We're just treating each other just like friends, not really caring. At one point, I called her Aphrodite, and she didn't like that. She was like, I bet you say that to every woman. And I said, yeah, but it's your turn now, so what's the problem? To give you an idea of how unserious we were when we first started talking.
Oh, you're smooth.
And now I am just absolutely head over heels in love with this woman. Yeah, so, no, she's great, but a fun story. She's like, I'm never going to date you. And then I moved to St. Cloud.
That was your challenge. That's probably why you wanted. Yeah.
To move?
No, that's probably why you sought her out. Because she said, you can't have me.
Yeah, probably. I knew it was going to happen. I told her that right away. I was just like, I don't know why you're fighting it. You're going to fall in love. And then her response was, you're going to fall in love. And I was like, nah, not me. I don't fall in love. And, well, here we are.
Here we
2
are.
years later.
That's cool.
So, yeah, she's great. She keeps me humble, for sure. If I tell a story and I, embellish just a little bit, she'll like pull me to the side and be like, that didn't happen. And I'm like, stop, I'm entertaining here.
She pulls you to the side, though?
So not like directly.
You're not right on
Kirsten
blast
is
there?
not built that way. Yeah. She will let everyone know. If
Finger to the
Matt,
chest.
Adam, or Ricky
Oh,
embellish
absolutely.
anything.
Well, the first time it happened, she did. She was like, hey, wait a second. And I was like, stop it. I'm entertaining right now. Let me do this. Let
Let me tell my story.
And so now, I still, almost every time we go out when we get home, she's like, hey,
Here's
that didn't
No,
happen.
Yeah, here's a little
you
play
gotta
whack
add to
and
the
just,
story. Always play things up,
I
yeah.
was like, you got to make it a little
You're
bit more
in, you're
exciting.
in you're in safe company here.
Yeah.
You all embellish a little bit to
Yeah.
get the story across.
And so there's that, yeah. Keeps me accountable. That's all you can ask for.
So luckily you met her after you got sober, or re-met her after you got sober.
Yeah.
I was sober from alcohol at the time.
Oh.
And then meeting her, I got sober from everything else as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
I enjoyed uppers, as you would say.
Because they act like downers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I'm getting so much laundry done. My room's clean for the first time in a
I'm
year.
so focused.
For real. And then, she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm on a 3-day bender. And she's like, yikes. And I'm like, all right, never going on one again.
Really?
Yeah, and I haven't, thankfully. That wasn't
Good for you.
really a bender compared to past benders, but hey, tomato, I suppose.
Yep.
I think that's the first time I've ever said that to anybody. He's like, I just found that out. You're in trouble when you get home, buddy.
No, everybody's got their journey. You're the cool thing about being sober is you get kind of like a clean, not necessarily a clean slate, because you still did things. There's probably amends that you still need to make, or if you run into someone that you hurt, whatever.
Yeah.
But for the most part, people who are in recovery kind of have this. It's like a clean slate. Like you're just going to start fresh. A lot of shit happened in the past.
New problems.
You can deal with that on on your time. But here we can talk about it and help people and just be clean slate. I think there's probably some people who don't really understand that. It just makes their hair raise on the back of the like, how you did all that stuff? Like, yeah. And I'm gonna do my best to make it right. But I can't live in it. Then I'll just be back there using again, and then you'll just hate me for that.
Right.
You're going to hate me for not making it right, or you're going to hate me because I'm using. So
Yeah.
one or the other.
It'd be spooky if I were to walk into a room and you were using.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
I'd almost, this might be a bit controversial to say, but for the plot, I might have to just one day, just to party with you once.
Oh, won't happen. But,
No,
but I get it, because you just I used to think about that with my dad, because my dad would get drunk and then leave. You know what I mean? And then just not come back for 3 weeks or something. And I'd be like, man, I wonder what he did for that 3 weeks. I want to go with him, But it was nothing. Like, in my head, I was just like, he went to Vegas.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Do
like
something cool.
He's traveling the world.
Right.
To county jail.
He was like, he was in Otter County. Man. I know he was there because one time I was locked up and they put your names on this board where everyone can see it.
Yeah.
And then this guy in the cell next to me, he was like, "Hey, are you Donnie's kid?" And I was like, holy shit. Yeah. I was like, do you know him? He was like, you used to be locked up with him all the time. Now it's you.
No,
that was kind of a...
The torch has been passed.
Yeah. It was the drunk thing, too, so it was fitting.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
crazy.
that guy's a gem. He should have written a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About the Martin
About
legacy
the Martin
in Otter
legacy.
County.
A tale of two men.
Yeah.
In orange.
I never had that with you because I never knew you when you were... Well, I did know you, but we didn't really have a relationship when you were drinking because I was in foster care. Yeah. I think there was like one time, oh man, what is I, like 10, 11? Sending like emails to each other. Yeah. We got like too deep and I was just like, yeah, these guys paying for my college. I love it here. And they're like, he's not talking to this guy again. Yeah. So I never got to be like, oh man, partying would be so cool.
Yeah.
I did always think, and I will say now that you've quit nicotine, I'm a little bit bummed out because growing up, I couldn't have my first beer with my dad. Probably shouldn't have had a first beer in general. But now I can't smoke a cigar with my old man. I feel like I'm missing out on a lot, dude.
I'm still gonna
drink beer.
My eyebrows got so high. We are live, sir.
No.
Oh, I misread that. My bad. My fault.
He got
That
his
reminded
hopes
me
up.
of that Saturday Night Live clip that just came out where he's like trying to get his woman back or whatever, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I did all this, I got into porn, and she's like, oh, that makes sense, and he was like, sometimes it was 2 or 3 people a day, and she's like, you were doing porn, and he's like, no, or yeah, and then he's like, and 2 or 3 women a day is like 2 or 3 guys a day. Every time you think you know it, he twists it.
Unreal. I'm not familiar with that one.
It just came out like
Just a
last
skit
week.
anyway.
Yeah. So, anyway, I will probably still enjoy a cigar from time to time. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
Big fan.
cigars, yeah, I love cigars. My fear is that like, it's kind of the same as like that NA like beer or whatever. Is that it just kind of revives
enough,
something,
yeah.
And then I was like, oh, what's the point of NA beer? I'm controlling this. This is easy.
Controlling this.
Can confirm the NA route. I was doing that the first stint when I had 9 months, and he goes, dude, don't do that. It's not good. It's not gonna work out. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. As I'm like shotgunning NA bushes, I'm like, we're good. And then I relapsed 2-3 weeks later, not even. And I was just sitting there. I was like, oh.
So what was the point of shotgunning the NA?
Because I found out this little trick that if you did it fast enough, you could catch a semi-buzz, and I thought that was okay.
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
as long as I'm not drunk and not hurting anybody.
You'd literally have to drink like a whole case just
Yeah.
to get a little buzz.
Yeah,
Right.
It was not worth it. I was on the toilet all day the next day. And
NyQuil's cheap.
I couldn't even get drunk off 3-2 beer, which I thought was crazy that they would make like a Bud Light 3-2 and a Bud Light 5-2 or whatever it was and put it next to each other. Mm-hmm. And then you drink a whole... Right, exactly.
Right.
Like they used to have 2 different two different alcohol contents for like Bud Light, Budweiser, whatever, that they could sell at gas stations.
Right.
And so it was like if you were really hard up, and it was like the liquor store was closed, you go get this 3-2 beer, because beer is like 5% or something like that, and then you get this 3-2, and you'd have to drink twice as much to get the buzz that you'd want.
Just get vanilla extract. It's way...
Well, I usually
so many
went
tricks coming from over here. NyQuil, vanilla extract.
I went the NyQuil route, and I told the doctor one time, I was like, I drank 3 bottles of NyQuil last night, and he was like, "You're insane, sir."
Check this man's
He's
Was
like,
the
"Do you
doctor
know what
actually
NyQuil
there?"
does or whatever?" I was like, "Well, it apparently gets you drunk." And he was like, "Yeah, it also heats the core of your body."
Right.
And I was like,
Oh, I knew it was warm.
sure.
All right.
I was warm and drunk.
That slept great.
Yeah.
Things we
Which was
put our
good
bodies
because I was
through.
outside, homeless.
So I want to so obviously we're releasing this around like Thanksgiving time. A lot of people are getting around their families, and not everyone has obviously the great relationship that you guys have now. But like, what was it like?
We have a fucking amazing relationship, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
what was it like?
Oh yeah,
I love this guy.
Christmas is coming.
Well, but it's good to like
You
talk
are
about like,
something else, you know that?
yeah,
You're
he's
just
your
like,
son.
I know,
Oh,
but I'm
he's
like,
so
we have
great.
amazing. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
But for people who don't have that good a relationship, or like, how did you guys get to that place when, especially like Nick, like talk about like, obviously, you shared a little bit about your journey of like, you were sober for a little while and then kind of relapse, and obviously, your dad has been clean for over 10 years. Like, what was that like, not being like still being out and like trying to talk to him and still trying to have a relationship and living together and like all the other things that you guys had?
Yeah, I would say without me getting sober, this probably doesn't happen. Because especially like in active addiction, as everybody else, guys like him or people that are close to me that are sober and doing good, you almost just like hold on to this hatred towards people, whether it's subconsciously or it's out in the open. And you feel some type of way. And I felt that way about you for the longest time, which, sorry, I love you now, as I just said. And it's kind of it was hard for me to give it a fair shake. And it was kind of just like, well, if he can't help me, there shouldn't be a relationship. And that's not a good way to go about that, especially with a parent. And what really changed it, and this is kind of a weird, funny story, I was living with him. It was my first attempt at getting sober. And I was staying with my mom. And I think it was like about a month I was like semi-living with her, semi-living in a Dodge Ram, taking showers at Planet Fitness, working at T-Mobile. Shout out T-Mobes. And then he was like, hey, you want to move in? And I was just like, yes, please. Because Dad lives on the bougie side of Fargo, allegedly. It was West Fargo, so it wasn't really bougie. It was just the town.
Allegedly.
At all.
It wasn't really bougie. It was just the town, like I said. And it was awesome. It was great. Everything was going good. And I realized that I had not changed at all getting sober. I just quit drinking. But I was still not a great human. I still had a lot of like self-confidence issues, a lot of issues with developing relationships. Yep. And I think that went on for about 8 months living with you. And we got into a pretty heated argument in the living room. I had some friends over and we got into it. And I went downstairs and I cleaned. And he made a joke about how it was the first time I cleaned. But then he took away my TV. And I'm 21, 22 years old at this time, yep. A grown-ass man. And I come home, TV's gone. And I made up my mind. I said, okay, I'm moving out. So I moved out right away. And I think since I moved out, we were actually able to have a relationship that wasn't, I didn't feel like he was like an overseer of my life. Where it was kind of, I'm doing my thing. Mm-hmm. This is my dad. This is cool. And so the sobriety and really starting to work on myself allowed me to actually give that a fair shot.
Right.
Because without working on myself, I would have just kept being a selfish person, doing what I wanted to do, not caring about other people. Mm-hmm. And that kind of really eliminates chances for having a relationship with anybody.
Right.
And so I'd say for me, that's what did it, was finally, getting out of the house, figuring it out on my own, and just, therapy, self-work, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Me personally.
Was that the first time or the second time you lived with me?
I think that was the first time because I was living at T-Mobile. I felt like I was living at T-Mobile. I was just working there.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I lived with you a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But I was still drinking every other time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've been sober since then?
No.
That was just the beginning of the journey.
That was the
new
first,
journey.
Yeah, that was the 9-month stint.
I remember thinking, because there's been 2 times that I think about that time, and then I think about the time when we lived in that townhouse for a little bit. That was a shit show.
I was hammered.
Yeah, all the time.
Around your dad?
I wasn't a good person. I was actually. It's funny.
That
you
was
bring
probably
that up.
the worst time for us to live together. Was that time because he would never. He was never home, and when he was fucked up. And
How old were you?
Jeez.
Shit, I don't know. 20, 19?
Something.
Yeah. No, I'd have been 21 because I had my
legal.
DUI at that
you
point.
could drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he. Yeah, I'd never been so angry. And I
was having the time of my life. I was always so happy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Was it just
I bet
fear?
you
Were you just afraid?
I was more, because it was like my fear coming out in anger.
Yeah.
Because I was, because there was a time that I went and picked you up. Mm-hmm. That was when we were living together at that place. Mm-hmm. When you were, are we telling this story?
Oh, when I got jumped?
Yeah.
Sure.
He calls me and I can't even understand what he's saying. He's just like, he's like crying and like, he's like, I'm hurt. And I'm like, like emotionally, or he's like, I can't walk or whatever.
Emotional.
And I was like, okay, jeez. And I thought he was just like embellishing.
Right.
Like someone beat me up or something. And I was like, where are you? And he was for some reason you were at your old apartment. Like
I still lived there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Why were you living with me?
I wasn't living with you yet.
Oh,
No.
so I'm confused about this.
So what had happened was I was living there, and I went out, and some guy was feeding me Jack and Cokes because that was my drink of choice, that or Jameson. And he just kept buying either one. And then we ended up like going out of a bar, and he's like, let's go out the back instead. And I'm hammered. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea to go into a dim lit alley. Yeah. Go out there. As soon as I step out, I just got clocked, and I was like, whoa. And then like 3 or 4 dudes just started going after me, and one of them curb stopped my ankle. And I was like, damn, I can't walk.
Yeah.
And somehow I got home. I don't remember how I got home.
That's
but
a long walk.
Especially on one foot.
So I went and picked him up, and then I saw him. He was like full of blood. And I was just like, all my worst nightmares are coming true right at this moment. And I get him, and then like walk you over to the car, and then or the truck, and you get in the truck. And then I was like, I think we should probably go to Sanford. Like, we should go to the hospital. And then we went and sat there for like 4 hours. And then we went back to, like, I don't even remember them doing anything because it was just like, I think they gave you some Tylenol or something like that. And then he went back to the house and he passed out.
Yeah.
And then I just waited, And then it was around that time, I let him get better, like walkable better. It didn't really take that long. It was like maybe a week or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then that was the decision where I was just like, we're done. Mm-hmm. And that was the final straw. And I was like, and I think it was the first time I felt what every parent probably feels, where it's like, if I kick him out, he's going to die. Mm. Like, if he's doing this while he's living here, and he's going to have it was by far the hardest thing I ever did. I seriously felt I had sent him to die. And that I was going to, like, because at least when he was there, I would know when he came home at night, or he would need something, you know what I mean? Like, he would reach out or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I know that when this happens, that relationship's going to be severed temporarily. Right. And so I come back to the house, TV's broken. Like, you punch the TV or something like that. And I was like, yeah, now it's begun. Like, that was the indicator that he was pissed.
Yeah.
There's like a 6-month period here that you missed out on. Because what happened was when that happened, I stayed with you. And I will say, I didn't remember any of it the next morning, and I tried getting up to walk, and Brecken was staying with you, and I took a step forward and just fell. And just like slow motion, and Brecken laughed at me. I was so humiliated. But I went back to my apartment, moved back to Lemoore, and then I got my DUI where I rolled and got ejected, and then moved back in with you.
Yeah, when I removed the TV, that was the second time.
Oh,
that's why I'm trying to like put context to it.
Oh,
yeah. Because when I let you move back in, that was like the The second time where I was just like, well, partly I was giddy because I was glad my son was coming home.
Right.
At the same time, I was like, he's gonna fuck it up, and he's gonna piss me off even more. You know what I mean? And so I was like, but we'll give it a try.
Right.
And
I broke the TV the second time when I was sober.
no, you broke the TV the first time.
Okay, yeah. See, I remembered that.
Yeah.
You took it away the second.
I took it away.
So you wouldn't
You're not
break
breaking
it.
this one.
Right.
Oh man,
Yeah.
you make it sound like I have just anger issues. Oh
But
no,
then-
I said something mean.
Yeah, but he like moved back in and he was like doing well or whatever, and he was trying to be sober, and I think we were just, it was to the point where I had made it like, I was like, if he's really gonna grow, he's got to go. Like, as long as you have this padding of like not having to worry about paying rent, not having to worry about food, not having to worry about any of that stuff. What?
Oh, I was paying rent. Come on.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, in comparison to how much is being paid, like, yeah.
Take it out of my TV fund.
Yeah. I got one little room. I was paying
Yeah.
a good amount.
That's what I'm saying, is that it should have been your own room.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So how'd you get to a place though to ask him to leave? Because that's the biggest thing for parents is
Took
like
away
when
I'd
is
say-
it when is
Especially
it
if
enough?
someone's
You
at
know.
that point right now.
Well, it was partly.
is he gonna die?
It was, so I didn't get that lesson because I just left. Like when I was just done because I wanted freedom, right? And I know deep down to Nick's core and many men, like you don't really get to see your full potential until you're free. Like, and so when I became owner of like my house, owner of my vehicle, and no one could take that away from me because I pay for it, because I own it. That's when it really became like, will you stop? I'm gonna kick you in the knee. Now you're gonna get me all self-conscious
Noted.
about doing this.
Oh, it was the proverbial dick on the table.
Yeah.
Is that what that was? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that a Thanksgiving thing you guys do? Or?
Right before everybody else gets there.
So it was really just it was a risk. It was a bet. I was just, because I still had that feeling that I was going to send him off to die or whatever. But I also knew that he would not appreciate his life until it was his.
Yeah.
So booted him, took the TV just in case. And then
I'd say the first time.
I've never been so proud
Yeah.
Yeah.
than
Aw.
watching him go, just live his life. Like I haven't had to do anything but watch, and that's all I ever wanted was like to just be able to sit back and watch him get into sales, marketing, get these big boy jobs, doing awesome with his music and doing special, like sending his music to the guys in the prisons and letting them use it in their podcasts.
Oh, I heard that.
Yeah. Just
Coolest thing in my music career. I'll say
Yeah.
that for sure.
Yeah.
so it's just cool watching all the, meeting your girlfriend and then developing that, she's super cool. Like they came over a couple weekends ago, and then her and I watched a movie together while those guys played video games, and it was like, and we didn't even say a word to each other. I was like, she's perfect.
Yes, this woman doesn't talk.
No, it's not that I want her to
her
talk.
not to
I just don't talk during the movie. Like,
I'm glad she's like that with you, because whenever we watch a movie, we'll get 30 seconds in, and she'll be like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's the killer." And I'm like, "There's 2 hours left of the movie,
Jeez.
man." And yeah, I knew that too. I wasn't gonna say it to enjoy this and pretend to be shocked at the end. But no, I'd say with the first time when I was still drinking, booted me out. Oh, I was so mad at you. I was like, I'm gonna. You ever like when you're like a little kid and you're like slamming the like door stopper in your bedroom? You're like, "God, I see him again. I swear to God!" And then you see him and you're like, "I'm sorry." Yeah. But the second time, I feel
So
like
why were you mad the first time? I mean, what made you?
I was probably more mad at myself than anything, honestly. I was.
Did you think it was like unjust? Like, how could he? After I
Yeah,
kick his
I would
TV?
say that's definitely after I break his TV. How dare you should just buy me another TV. No, I think it was more like. I was mad that I couldn't get sober because I'd been trying at that time, and it just didn't work. No matter what, I'd be like, "I'm getting sober. I'm not going to drink," and then it's noon and I'm day drunk, and I'm like, "This day got away from me." And just also knowing that it was a weird mindset, because I think about when he was drinking and I'm like, well, he should know what I'm going through. He should be there for me, which isn't a good way to look at that, especially. I mean, that's goes to the whole having to work on myself to have a relationship with him. Is like, you can't feel that way, right? Because that's just not what it is, you know? And...
But your definition of he should be there for me and his are...
completely different.
Yeah,
Well, and I brought this up to him last night, that I said it's probably the weirdest gauge of like a father-son love and relationship is the amount of times he put his recovery at risk to make sure that I was okay. And I got used to that, I guess, that I was just like, you should be here helping me. I should have fun. And that's not how it should be at all. And yeah, I was so mad for the longest time. And then finally got sober, and those feelings just went away as time went on. And now we're hanging out. Can't stand them. I'm just kidding.
But what a cool thing, though, because, like, I was your babysitter for a while. So I'm the reason you turned out so good. But anyway.
Hell yeah.
But then you went into foster care. I just, like, the whole thing to watch Adam, you know, struggle with his own recovery and just how gut-wrenching it was for you not to have Nick. And, I mean, it was just like this whole journey. And my husband adores you. He was just bummed he couldn't be here. He wants to know if he can be on your next album.
Oh, of course, I love him so much.
But me?
Matt's awesome. You're cool. I enjoy you. Oh, you know, funny
I
thing.
offered the clarinets for the next album, and he's like, no.
Finished it too soon.
Jeez.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, all right.
We're done here.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about me anymore. You dick.
But I mean, it really is. It's a beautiful journey, and it ended really cool. And anyway, you're just a great kid, man.
Oh, man.
Well, speaking of good journey, I want to thank F5 Project and Ridge Recovery and Treatment Center for sponsoring our podcast. This is a super great. They were able to have these like candid conversations due to their generosity. And if you're watching and want to continue to support our podcast, please subscribe. Let us know. Leave us comments, send us emails. We always love being able to hear about how great things are and how they're coming. So Nick, you had talked about Adam obviously mentioned like, all right, I have to kick him out. Like he's got to go.
He's like a robot.
That was crazy.
I know.
I know,
We're
it's
just
really
going to sweep
good.
that under the rug and just
Yeah.
moving on. That was awesome.
It was just like,
Speaking of this.
one night stand, Ricky.
It's professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Adam obviously, shared like, all right, I got to kick him out. He has to just do this on his own. Like you talked about obviously the anger the first time and just, that kind of transition. Do you feel like had that not happened, had you stayed, that you would be able to be as successful as you are right now? Or did you have to get, like for you, like we heard his side, but do you feel like, could you have done this, all the success that you're having right now, had you stayed?
It's a tough question to answer. I would say no. That's what I think. That I kind of agree with him that as long as I had a safety net, I wasn't going to grow, which was proof because I moved to Lemoore where my grandma lives, had another safety net, and within a few weeks of being there, I had a DUI. And every time I went back, I'd relapse. And then I had this job interview at T-Mobile. A friend of mine was working there, and he's like, hey, I'll hire you. I just need somebody. And I missed the first interview because I was still drunk from the night before. And I was like, oh, my car's not working because I was living in Lemoore, which is an hour and a half from Fargo. And he's like, okay, we'll reschedule. And he's with his manager, and he calls me later, and he goes, I know why you actually missed this. And if you miss the next one, I'm not hiring you. And if you're drunk when you're here, you're getting fired. The grand scheme of things, if I was drinking and not drunk at work, I don't know if he could have fired me. I don't know what the legalities on that is.
Did you make the interview for like 9 a.m.?
Yeah, it was super early both times. So I had to leave Lemoore at like 6:30. Which even sober, that I hate waking up that early. So to do it when I was hungover is incredible. Right. And something clicked, and I quit drinking, and I was just like a week prior, I'd accepted that I was going to be a bartender in a small town for the rest of my life, and I was just going to be drunk for the rest of my life. And that day, I was like, "There's got to be more. I'm got to be destined for something more than this." Yeah. I went there and killed the interview, got hired, had nowhere to stay in Fargo. I was like, all right, well, I can either go back to Lemoore and keep drinking, go to the safety net, or I can sleep in this 2001 Dodge Ram and get a gym membership and shower there in the mornings, which is weird because you think you'd just go and work out and then shower, but I wasn't a fan of the weights, so I only just went and showered. And I think it was that beginning of sleeping in the car every night and showering and then going to work and not really having anything for about 2 weeks that set the tone for what everything else was going to be. There's no safety net, and then my mom was like, hey, you can stay with me. And I was just like, oh, cool. It's a little bit scary, safety net, but hey, I'll just do my thing. Kept doing my thing. Then he let me move in. I feel like I was just like ranking up. It was really cool. But yeah, I think that if that hadn't happened, I would have just started drinking again. So as much as I was angry, it was probably the best thing for me.
Yeah. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it might not be.
It's like a choose your own adventure book or whatever. You don't know what's going to happen until you do it.
Right.
So but from what I've seen, most people don't get better when they have cushion.
Right.
You know, they got to be able to put in the work. You know, I was the same when I was out on my own. That was like, all right, I got to do stuff now. You know, shit.
Nobody's coming to save me.
Yeah. Nobody's. That was probably the most important lesson that I learned, and I think Nick did too, is that no one's coming to save you. And so, and even if they do, like, no one's going to put in the work as much work as you should be. Putting in, and then it just becomes like, your life. You're just like, this is nice. I don't have to ask anybody for shit. I don't have to nothing. Like, I can just enjoy my day and go to, like, enjoy my kids, enjoy, you know, playing Call of Duty or whatever. Like, I'm not in risk of survival.
Right.
And that's probably I think the biggest benefit to people who raise up in their life is that they don't feel like they're in survival mode. And they can actually enjoy things.
They get a pyramid for that. You know what that's called? Any of you?
The hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The spiritual enlightenment. Yeah.
No, it just fits right in with recovery. It's like once you're done just surviving, everything else can fall into place.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's such a snowball effect. I mean,
The next one is you become God.
I'm kidding.
Heard of that.
You become aware. Sorry. Anyway.
That's my favorite thing now that we have the cameras, because I can do that.
That's funny, because I just mentioned that last week, how I continue, like,
wall.
whenever Ricky says something crazy, I'm like...
Just directly at the camera.
No, that's the greatest thing I ever started doing in my life.
What?
Breaking the fourth wall? Just looking out of nowhere?
That started like 4 years ago.
You started it.
Well, I didn't start it, but I started doing it.
Doing
Not the
what?
Office.
You copied it from me.
Okay.
Is it the glare? Is it the deadpan?
It's
What
just
is
the-
it?
It's just the...
No,
Oh.
first of all, I started it. He copied me. I'll tell you why. Because
Okay,
Christy
I'm
said
copy-
something one time, like 4 years ago, and I just found the nearest person and just went. And you lost it. You started laughing so hard. Oh, dude, that's so funny. Where'd you come up with that? And I was like, I've watched The Office. And then he was like, I'm going to start doing that. So I'm not going to sit here and let you steal my joke, dude. Are you serious? That I stole
God.
from Michael Scott. Gosh. Unreal.
He would. We'd be sitting there, and he'd just do some weird, like people are watching us or something.
We'd be out in public. I don't
He's
care.
breaking the fourth
Well
wall with
played,
the
yeah.
spiritual realm or something. Just like,
Get a load of this guy.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man. But yeah, survival, not fun.
yeah, no, it's much nicer on the other end.
And it's like I said, it's such a snowball effect. Like I can't believe I'm at where I'm at.
It's just weird, the whole family.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is like, no one's the same as they used to be. Like even Brecken, he's
He's like 6 feet tall now. It's crazy.
he's taller than all of us. He's got shaggy hair. He wears a necklace.
My man.
Is that bad
That's
or
the
good?
line.
Or,
For,
it is
like
the
when I was a
look now?
kid, when you start thinking about wearing like jewelry, right? When you're not buying it, it's not like he's going out and going to the jewelry store or whatever. Like he's having his mom buy it for him, or someone gave it to him, or hopefully at best case.
This is like Axe body
Jewelry
spray,
today,
gold
Kirsten.
chain.
he's like very important how he looks, very important what he wears.
Oh, man.
You know, it's just like, all right, I see you.
Yeah, it's interesting when they start showering. Yeah.
Yeah. Comes walking in like, you know, with that just swag kind of. I don't know what they call it these days, but it's just like he became aware.
Riz. This boy's
Got the
rizzed
Riz.
up.
Yep.
You know, before it used to be like he was like my little nerd. And we would just like play video games, and like I would literally not leave for the weekend, and we just play video games all weekend.
Yeah.
And then one day I was like, "Hey, you ready to play some games?" He's like, "I'm good." I was like,
Taken aback.
"What you mean you good?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just on my, you know, talking to some whatever." I was like, "Okay."
Talking to some dudes.
Yeah. And then he got into sports, and then he like I mean I really love the kid that he's becoming.
Yeah.
He was just
The glow.
I was a lot more important in his life when he was younger.
I know. Yeah.
You know, so now it's like it's weird because now he's at that age where I'm not like I'm important but not like relevant
Right.
to his day-to-day stuff. And then as Nick got sober and got older, I became more so like I'm developing a relationship with Nick where it didn't exist. So
Right.
they kind of just like switched or whatever. And so but recently this last couple of weeks Brecken's really like came out of his shell with me and he's like been opening up and talking a lot more. I mean he has been over a period of years,
Right.
but like the car rides. It's like
Yes,
there's
car
something
rides.
about car rides.
Because they don't have to
that-
look at you.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you just get in the car and then he'll just be like, I got a question.
Yeah.
It's like just out of nowhere and be like, oh, turn dad mode, you know.
How do you hide a body?
Yeah.
What should I actually say? What should I actually
Yeah,
say?
and then I got, you know, Gatling and then, you know, baby. So it's, you know, currently all kids are sober as far as I know. So
Worried about Kinsley, but
3. I
Those
think
pixie sticks
everyone's worried about Kinsley
Yeah.
because she's a different beast. Like my other like Nick and Brecken, like they were all pretty like they didn't do like crazy shit until they got into their like preteens. Then they started like doing really crazy stuff. Baby will like I don't know if she gets the concept of gravity or whatever, but she'll like jump onto the back of the couch and she'll just like look at me. And I'll look at her and I'll be like, not a good idea. And then she'll just like throw herself down. And I'll like run over and catch her. And it's just like, baby, I'm not always going to be there to catch you. And she's like, yes, you will.
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
You
I'll
were
be
this
here.
time?
I'll be on the other side of town. I'll be like,
Wait a minute.
someone's falling.
Not going to do this if you're not looking.
We got a pretty good life. Now we just need to get Nick to pop some kids out so we can have some.
You literally
Give
said
him a
that.
minute.
I told you what I tell you. Every
the
time
show.
I'm around this guy, he
Yeah.
said, "You need a kid."
Oh, I
Why?
can't wait.
Yeah, you're
I
gonna be a
can't wait to
grandpa.
have like
Let's be a
the
grandpa.
next generation.
I can wait.
Yes.
Is the thing.
As you should.
You should.
They're so exhausting.
For real. And if they're anything like our family, I'm gonna need all the energy I can have and all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't
Because
have that.
them boys,
None of that. Exactly. It's like,
We had kids
just
when I was
happens.
18, and we had kids when I was, how old am I, 42? 39. I would trade the energy of being 18, having a kid any day of the week. Not necessarily the maturity. I would rather have my mindset now, right? Instead of, I mean, I don't think that you ever, if you could remember that time, it was chaos.
Yeah.
There's like a picture of me wearing like these black and white army fatigue pants, and so I don't even remember the t-shirt. Sometimes I think it was a tank top, but I had like blondish hair, and I'm like like tips, frost
Frosted.
tips.
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
And you can barely see them, but when I look at the picture, it's actually that picture that was. So when Nick and I got back into like talking to each other,
You're the little dude.
huh?
When
When
I was
you were a
just, like, a
baby,
tiny
I was
man?
holding him as a baby, and I'm like, and I know I was smoking. Like I'm just like holding this baby, smoking cigarettes and getting drunk or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, it's cool. Get me a beer.
Yeah.
Living in my mom's trailer, like it was.
I remember.
Dude,
It's crazy.
it was nuts. Like, anyways, I'm not gonna go into detail there.
Yeah.
There was some crazy shit that happened during that time.
Yeah.
But anyway, like when we, his foster mom had messaged me and said that that Nick wasn't living with her anymore, and that you were back home with your grandma. And she's like, and I know he's really looking forward to seeing you, from what I can tell on his Facebook. And I was like,
How old was he then?
he was like 14, something
Okay.
like that. And I was like, Facebook?
Yeah.
And I had been on Facebook since like, I don't know, 2002 or something like that.
Sure.
And so I was like, but I never thought to myself that he had one.
Right.
Because I had no connection to him, you know? And so then I was like, I remember I called Brecken's mom, and I was like, hey, should I add him?
Right.
And she was like, yeah. I was like, I feel like a weird, like, stalker, like if I add him.
Hey, buddy.
Right. And so she's like, just stop,
Don't overthink it.
right? Stop overthinking, stop being fearful, just be his dad. And I was like, yeah, but this is weird. And so I send the friend request, and it hadn't even been 10 seconds. And then it was
I've
like,
been waiting my whole life for this.
he accepts it. And then he was like, I never thought this day would come, is what he said.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then you were at my house that weekend. Like, it happened
I work
so
quick.
fast.
When I want something, I make it happen.
Yeah.
Ask Marina.
So I think, is that time? Are we?
No, we still have 15 minutes.
Oh.
We have one more section.
Oh, we do?
Ooh, is this
Oh,
right?
is this the?
No, we're gonna.
Are you just
switch it
warming
over
us
to
up?
Kirsten.
Oh,
Yeah. 'Cause we heard a lot from you guys, but she's.
I wasn't in foster care.
No.
No, thanks for reminding me that I was.
Yeah, I did babysit you though.
But I feel like I still want to
with
like
this
talk
segment,
about. Yeah.
Kirsten's your mother. Just
Oh,
kidding.
I think I'd have a better mustache. And I'd be a hell of a lot taller.
Maybe.
Well, I feel like so for this last part, like Kirsten, you've shared different times on our podcast about having to like leave your kids with like babysitters and just different people so you can go to meetings. Like, can you share like how hard that was to be able to be like, I need to put my recovery over my family, for people who are still trying to figure out like what that's like?
Yeah, sure. I think that having kids is it's chaos anyway, and you're overwhelmed, and I need a break from them, but I don't want anybody else to watch them. And I think that there was a time I was probably 15 years sober, I suppose. And they always say, don't put anything before your recovery or you'll lose it, blah, blah, blah. And I always thought, well, that won't happen to me because, I'm a big deal. And like I started meetings and stuff, But when my kids were little and I had a full-time career and my husband traveled a lot and I was in college, and the first thing that just slid out of my life was my recovery, just so easily, because I thought I don't want to leave these guys. It's important. I need to give them my time. I want to be a active mom and whatever. And I quit doing my meetings, and my sponsor dumped me because I wasn't talking to her. I guess that's a big deal. And then, and I just slowly lost my mind. I really did. I became like suicidal, and I'm not a yeller, and I started yelling at my kids, which crushed me. And I just became like this mom I never wanted to be. Right. And it was awful, and I was miserable. And it was really hard to go back to meetings. Well, Matt made it easier because he's like, I'm either going to commit you or you're going to go back to meetings. And I was like, well, I suppose meetings is less embarrassing at this point since I'm a big deal, Right. But yeah, I just got really miserable. And I think I never learned by like, hey, a good suggestion would be to keep your meetings first. I just don't learn that way. So I learned the hard way. I got super miserable. And when I started, I had to have a babysitter. I had a regular babysitter. She came every Tuesday for 15 years. so that I could go to my regular meeting. And she never missed, but I always wanted her to miss. I'm like, aren't you sick or something? But she's my cousin. She's so great. Yeah. But I was always able to go to that meeting, whether Matt was in town or not, because typically he's gone Monday through Thursday. And then I became the parent I wanted to be. Then I was like, I was able to apply the things I learned, and I was like centered, and it really, and I preached it all the time. Whatever you put before your recovery, you're going to lose or mess it up. And it wasn't until I actually lived it and was able to see, like, I need to have time away from my kids. My kids need to learn how to listen to other grown-ups. Yep. They need to learn how to interact with other people. And I need the time away from them so that I appreciate them and don't resent them, or, you know what I mean? All of the things you feel as a parent, like, oh, I love them, and I just want to break from them all at the same time, you know? But, so yeah, I just learned the hard way that that has to be, like, most important to me. My recovery has to come before my kids. And now they're older, and they're like, are you leaving? It's Tuesday. Where are you going? You know, it's 7. You should probably leave, you know? So, but it's made it a relationship that's like Adam was saying, where they're independent of me. They make their own choices, and then if it goes wrong, they just come back and we try and figure something else out. I'm not lording over them and making them resent me or hate me or fear me, or that, which was awful. So anyway, so yeah, and my husband and I try and get away. We take vacations without him, you know, whenever we can, because that's way more fun. And hotel sex is really good. So that's what you got to do. And what is both the Martins are staring? Seriously.
We're gonna clip that. We gotta clip that one.
Maybe they haven't experienced it.
I was too ashamed to look at the camera, so I was just like,
Dead center, boy.
Well, you should try it then.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, but that was great.
No comment.
But yeah, that's what I
stuck
found.
on
Anyway.
the part where you were like, you felt bad for yelling at your kids. I was just like,
I did. I'm just not a yeller.
I didn't even know you looked at me, but I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm more stuck
I wonder
on
if
the-
my dad felt bad when he yelled at me. No, I didn't.
No, I didn't think
No,
you did.
I don't.
I'm more stuck on the whole, like, getting away from family at a meeting, because whenever I go, it feels like a family reunion. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I suppose. Just because we all know you.
Oh,
Yeah.
uncle, hey, oh, buddy, hey, oh, buddy.
You call someone uncle?
I'm talking actual family.
Oh.
You can call Matt Uncle.
Yeah, I could probably.
You could probably call him
Call
a lot
him
of things. Yeah.
Uncle Matt.
And he'd be cool with it.
Daddy Matt.
Oh, is
What?
Daddy now?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
I don't even
We're
do
gonna cut that out. We're gonna.
It's weird.
Okay.
Matt said he used to find you at the mall, you know, because you'd be selling stuff, and he'd, like, peek around a corner, like, just to creep you out.
Well, I've always felt weird my relationship with him, because I dated his daughter when we were in high school.
Didn't you guys run away or?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
never
so
mind.
Every time I see him, I'm just like, because I'd never met him before. And then we did something for Brecken's birthday, and the first meeting I had with him was he was punching one of those punching bag machines.
Oh.
I kind of just like scurried to the bathroom. I was like, I don't want to meet this guy yet. I'm like 15, dude. I'm like 5'5", about the same weight. Oh, dog, it was scary.
Have you gotten shorter?
This guy's not even taller than me.
Yes, I am. We
You guys
just
do this.
we just
every
did it.
time.
Doug, your hair is like
Oh
8
my
inches
god!
long.
Oh,
Yeah, my hair is like literally 1 inch.
We had a biased narrator. It was Christy telling us the heights.
Oh, okay.
Well, she could see. She was
She
better
like
angle.
took her phone out and was like, "This says, according to the size of the wall, that you are 5'7". And I'm like, I don't know if I trust a phone.
no,
to say
you were
that.
5'4".
That is not what happened. That is not what happened. This
What's
guy.
that like? What's it like?
I'll
being
have you
like-
know, the other day in a grocery store, an older lady asked me to grab something from the top shelf. And it was really embarrassing when I couldn't.
Does she refer to it as the top shelf?
She was in a wheelchair.
It wasn't even the top shelf. It was the third one.
It was the top shelf, but it was right at the front. I like grabbed it and I like went to hand it to her and I was like, I need you to know this is the greatest day of my life. And she's like, just give me my sugar. I was like, my bad.
Oh, it was sugar? Definitely on the bottom.
I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
It was on the
Nobody
top.
puts sugar on the top shelf.
She asked you for help.
Right.
This right here is
Yeah.
why we can't.
We're going to put the heaviest item on this entire aisle on the top? No, that's not how that works.
It is because
You're embellishing and making things up.
I don't remember what it was. It was top shelf and it was
Okay.
something.
Splenda, the light guy.
Oh, okay. It was Splenda. And it was
Hey guys,
it was
here's a
packet.
great story from my life. No, no, shut up. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
This is what Thanksgiving looks like.
Is there anything else relevant that you
No,
guys
Thanksgiving
want to share?
does not look like this. It looks like Nick showing up there and completely shitting on me with jokes in front of the entire family, and then all of them joining in.
Just the team.
That's what Thanksgiving is. It's like the
not bad.
one. I get it. I started F5, right? I get some accolades. I get to be in the spotlight all year long.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is the dumping ground.
Yeah.
Like I show up there and they're just like, he'll be like, "Oh, Dad's here. Haven't seen him in years." And I'm like, "I just saw you yesterday." And they're like, "Oh, you remember when you weren't in Nick's life? Oh my gosh, that was hilarious." I was like, wow.
He'll like go to like step out to grab something from his pickup, and I'll be like, "Please come back." I'd like to say,
Are you
that
going to get cigarettes, Dad, at the gas station?
even better when he actually does go get cigarettes? Brecken's involved now. That when he goes, Brecken will be like, "Please come back," and I'm like, "Yes." I'd also
But they'll
like to-
do it to each other too, because Brecken he'll look at Nick and he'll be like, "Well, at least Dad always comes back for me," and I'll be like, "You guys are ruthless."
Yeah, that's good though.
That's brothers.
Tough
I-
skin.
I have been
Pretty
making
sure.
fun of you long before you started F5. I would like to say that.
Yeah.
That's how. Yeah.
I didn't pick and choose. I
Yeah, but you
saw
didn't have
and I
other
said, I'm
people
gonna make
join
fun of
in
this guy.
until
Right.
Well, to be fair,
until it became fun.
Right.
it's one day a year he gets made fun of. I'll go to his house and Brecken and him will just instantly gang up on me
Right.
and go after me. I got to deal with it 364. I get one day. It's cool.
Yeah.
Like last weekend, I wanted a light on because it's dark. And I
Scared
do
of the dark
It
too.
is a wolf's
Oh,
den
no.
when you get all the boys together.
Yeah.
And Brecken starts chirping me. And I start chirping him back. He tries going for the throat. And I said, "We can fight. I will knock you out, dude. You and your little silver spoon."
All because he wants the light on.
Right.
Which is crazy to me.
I didn't think it
that
was
you
that
want this
weird.
bright ass light on while you're playing video games.
I was trying to eat as well. Can't see. You don't want to bite your fingers off. That'd be an issue.
So Brecken's just like, he's just like trying to turn the light off, and Nick's like, "What are you doing?" Just goes off on him, and so Nick or Brecken just keeps like chirping, right?
And then he starts
I
shaking
come-
on his damn chair, and it's like, and I said, "Dude, stop moving." And he's like, "I'm not even doing anything. It's just doing that." And he's like, "What are you, autistic?" And I'm like, "Yeah, partially. I have ADHD. That's the whole thing." And then he starts going, "Oh, chair's moving." I stood up. I said, "Both of you, come on. We can do this right now." Ganging up on me.
And then I would walk by the light and I'd turn it off or whatever, and he'd just be,
God. It's like, "I'm a grown man. I'm 24.
I'm a grown man. I need the light on.
And Brecken knows I won't ever actually hit him. And so he just, it's so annoying, man. I think one time he was getting real, Marino was down there and he was just making some joke. I don't even remember what
you throw a girl into the mix too when it's a
Oh,
bunch of
of
boys.
course.
It just gets.
He's trying to impress
Oh, you
my
guys get
girlfriend.
so dumb.
Right.
Yeah, you get so dumb.
So, and he just, and then I was thinking, I just like grabbed him and just like put him on the ground in probably like 0.1 seconds. And he just goes,
Yeah. And that's
I was
okay.
like, "Yeah, okay." And I thought we were done. And then 20 minutes later, this guy won't learn, man.
I asked Brecken one time too. I was like, everybody's got their like drunk friend, their funny friend,
Yeah.
Their smart friend, and then like the cocky one. I was like, which one's the cocky one? He's like, I don't know. I was like,
He's got the hair though. He's pretty cute.
No, he cut it. He's looking like a Wish Jack Harlow. It's disgusting.
What's your wish like? What's a
You know,
wish, Jack?
the Wish app where you could buy like things for like 30 cents,
Yeah.
and then they went bankrupt. How
But
about
yeah.
Oh,
a
China.
Whole Foods.
Oh, yeah.
And then Jack Harlow, the rapper. You know what's popping?
Sorry.
Yeah, whoa.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yep, I got you, Nick.
I know MC Hammer.
The
Real
broke
life.
guy.
He's,
It's Pastor Hammer now, actually.
is it?
Yeah, he's been a pastor for a while.
What was that one thing you did at a church retreat where you hit the ground or something?
Oh, it was when they were all like speaking in tongues.
Oh,
And then
laid
they
And
were
what did
just
they
like,
say? And then you hit the ground.
They were all like loose.
Yeah.
And then everybody fell, and I was like, oh shit, I'm new. And I got down on the ground and started laying there. I was just like, and my Baptist friends were like, just go with it.
Yeah.
Just do your time.
Everybody starts pointing at the one guy standing. Get him! Starts sprinting out. You were in that one of those churches where they're just like, and then you just fell.
Yeah, the only thing we were missing was like the snake.
Oh,
Yeah, you
Is
know,
that
like you do
typical?
like, huh?
They have snakes at church.
I mean, in some, like the really extreme ones.
Yeah.
Like but this one was just like speaking in tongues, and you know, and it was like we believe in the gifts of the Spirit, and I was like, oh, cool.
like
And
a
I was like, what about the
Pentecostal
gift
thing?
of
Right.
healing? And they're like, yeah, we believe that. And I was like, give him his leg back. And they were just like, it doesn't work that way. I was
Everybody
like,
loses
sounds
their
like you
mind when
put
it
God
starts
in a
growing.
box.
Yeah. How does it work then?
I'm the worst.
Get out of here. Get out of
If it gets religious, I'm the worst person to have in the room to talk about any of that stuff because I'll just pick it apart.
But you know
Yeah.
enough to be dangerous.
Yeah, aren't you a pastor? Did
Well,
you go to church or school?
that's a whole different episode,
Okay,
guys.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's
Been on his knees a lot.
Let's close it up. Anything else? Nick, thank you again for being here. Anything else you want to share before we close?
Well, I think there needs to be a part 2 to talk about Pastor Adam Martin. But other than that, hey, you know what? I do want to say
Preacher?
something about that real quick.
Yeah.
When he first was coming back in my life, when I was in the adopted parents, they showed me that picture of him, right? And he's like at this church, and I look at it and I go,
Was I wearing like a white?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
I
like-
just graduated from
Reverend?
Teen Challenge.
I saw that and I said, all
similar.
these stories about how badass my dad is, and he's looking like a scrub. What? And then, years
His
later,
definition of scrub is different than what you're.
sorry, this clean-cut gentleman. I
Yeah.
forgot you guys are big, what is that, TLC?
Yeah, scrub is like homeless.
Right.
You
Right?
don't want no scrubs.
Yeah, no scrubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you, TLC.
No, I
We're
guess
not like. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Just
I
looked
was put together. I was wearing a suit.
a dainty little fella.
Hair was all done. It was clean cut. I just graduated. I was big dollar.
From Teen Challenge.
No, I was broke. I
Which is for fellas.
I had no money and I had nowhere to go. So it was. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome. No, I don't have anything. Other
He had to
than-
give the suit back after
you
the
really?
picture. No.
Oh,
I have no idea.
Some of that suit.
I did that for the gala. I don't even care.
We're supposed to end this podcast. You
Yes.
keep
Oh, yeah.
talking.
Sorry.
I'll shut my mouth. Sorry. It will happen again.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2. We got to get Brecken on here though.
Oh, yeah. Bring him
Dad,
on.
we're trying to end the podcast, dude.
Kirsten, Adam, anything for you guys before we get out of here?
No, it's been great.
Yeah. Well, thanks F5 Project. Thanks Ridge Recovery and Treatment Center. And of course, thank you for listening. We appreciate y'all. Catch you next time.
Thanks, Nick, for coming on to the podcast. You are doing well in life.
Word.
Thanks. Validation.